All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really sharp critique of Pakistan cricket, and it's all centered around this latest captaincy shuffle. But here's the real question we're asking. Does just changing the captain actually fix anything?
So, what kicked off this whole conversation? Well, it's the big news. Star pacer Shaheen Afridi has been named the new captain for one-day internationals.
Now, you see that quote, "The whole of Pakistan wanted this"? Don't take that literally. Our source is being super sarcastic here. They're basically saying this isn't some great, celebrated move. Instead, it's just another turn on this broken carousel of captaincy changes, a policy that, in their view, has become a total running joke on the world stage.
So, you might be wondering, what's the big deal? It's just another captain, right? Well, according to our source, the problem isn't Shaheen himself, not at all. It's about the completely chaotic system behind the scenes that keeps making these kinds of decisions. And this really gets to the heart of the frustration. It's this revolving door problem. You've got this constant, almost random churn in leadership. The source paints a picture of a system where it feels like, there's a new captain every third day and a new coach every fifth. It just creates this total instability. And it feels like the decisions aren't being made to build a winning team for the long haul, but more to appease different players and manage egos and all that internal politics.
Okay, but it gets deeper. The argument here is that this chaos isn't just a simple case of bad management. No, it apparently comes from something way more fundamental, a real cultural issue baked into the team's entire mindset.
And here's where things get really interesting. Our source draws this really stark line in the sand between the ambitions of players. They say that for a lot of Pakistani players, the goal is pretty straightforward. 1, make the national team, and 2, become the captain. Like the captaincy is the peak, the end goal. But then you look across the border, and the argument is that young Indian players are being programmed for these huge global ambitions. Things like becoming the absolute #1 player in the world, scoring a century at Lord's, or beating a team like Australia in Australia. Totally different scale of ambition.
And what's the result of that mindset? Well, the source sums it up with this phrase: small shops, small egos, small aims. It creates this culture where personal status and friendships, this idea of yariyan or cronyism, end up being more important than the team's success and true professionalism. And when that happens, you get a system where nobody wants to make the hard calls and accountability just goes out the window.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this all actually play out on the field? Well, the source points to a perfect, and I mean perfect, example of this kind of mental weakness. And funny enough, it's not even a Pakistan match, but it shows the exact same problems.
Exhibit A, a recent T20 match between Bangladesh and the West Indies. This thing is like a perfect little snapshot of the exact kind of panic that our source says is plaguing Pakistan cricket. I'm talking about a situation where victory was in the bag, and then somehow it just all fell apart.
So let's break down this final over. It's wild. West Indies need just 5 runs to win. The Bangladesh bowler does an amazing job. It comes down to the very last ball. 3 runs needed. The batsman skies it, a super easy catch. It should be game over. But then, just total chaos. The keeper drops it. The fielders completely panic. They're fumbling the ball. They miss a dead simple run-out. West Indies scramble for 2 runs, it's a tie. And then, of course, Bangladesh goes on to lose in the super over. A guaranteed win, gone. Just gone because of pure panic.
And here's the kicker. The source says this wasn't about a lack of skill. The players are talented. This was a complete and total mental breakdown under pressure. It's that tendency to just panic when it matters most. And that right there is the trait our source says we see again and again in the Pakistani team.
And now we connect that theme of panic directly to Pakistan's own recent test match against South Africa. It's presented as another perfect example of this mental fog.
So picture this. Pakistan is batting, and they're in a pretty good spot. They're at 311 for 6, a solid platform. You're thinking, okay, they can really build a big, commanding lead from here.
But then it happens, that all too familiar collapse. They go from 311 for 6 to all out for 333. That's their last 4 wickets gone for just 22 runs. The tail just completely folded under pressure. It's a story we've seen so many times, right? But hey, the batting collapse wasn't even the whole story. While they were out in the field, there was this one critical moment of just flawed thinking that really shines a spotlight on this whole lack of mental sharpness.
So what happened was the team got completely tunnel-visioned on one thing. There's a caught-behind appeal, and they get so wrapped up in debating whether it was a clean catch, did the ball carry to the keeper without bouncing, that they completely miss something way, way bigger.
And this is just incredible. While they're all arguing about the catch, the replay showed the batsman was absolutely 100% out LBW. Plumb. The ball was crashing into the stumps, but because they were so focused on the wrong thing, nobody even thought to review for LBW. The review wasn't taken, and the batsman stays. The source points to this as just a staggering example of that mental fog we were talking about, where you can't see the obvious thing right in front of you.
So, all of this brings us right back to where we started. If the problems are this deep, we're talking mental fragility, cultural issues, panicking on the field, then is just swapping out the captain really going to fix any of it? The argument is that making Shaheen captain is, well, a pretty superficial fix. And worse, it might even create brand new problems. I mean, think about it. You've got the workload. This guy is a key fast bowler who's had injury issues. Now you're adding all this pressure. Then there's the format. The changes in ODIs, a format our source calls dying, when the big failures were in the T20 World Cup and Asia Cup. And maybe most importantly, it does absolutely nothing to fix the cultural problems, and it sets a terrible precedent by just tossing out the last ODI captain, Rizwan, so unceremoniously.
And this brings us to this term, Rilu Kata. Our source uses this slang to describe players who aren't really at that top international level. They're kind of just fillers. And the big worry is that the whole system, being based on friendships and keeping people happy, protects these players. And that means a real, professional, merit-based standard can never truly grab hold.
So at the end of the day, what should you take away from all of this? It's that this really isn't about Shaheen Afridi, or any one captain for that matter. This is a critique of an entire system. A system that, according to our source, values these short-term fixes and political games over what really matters, building a tough, professional, winning culture.
And so, the source leaves us all with this final, pretty provocative question. What do you think? Is making Shaheen captain a genuine step forward? Or is it just, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic while the real problems go completely ignored? It's something to think about.